Naomi Osaka is a player who is almost universally loved. She is a fan favorite for her playing style, her authenticity, for being a strong advocate for mental health as well. But last week, fans were saddened by an announcement that she made in the build-up to the Italian Open. So what is it that's blown her chances at the tournament? Stay tuned to find out all that and more in the world of tennis. First up, it's injury time. Tennis players are famous for frequently being injured. All of the big names at one time or another have had periods where they weren't able to play professionally. It's because tennis is a sport that's very hard on the body. And Naomi Osaka, she's no exception. Going back all the way to 2016, she struggled with managing injuries. That year, she had to pull out of the entire grass court season after suffering a hamstring injury not long after the French Open. The following year, she had to pull out of another tournament because of an abdominal injury. And then again in 2018, her hamstring injury came back to bite her again, which cut her season short. At the time, she was number 4 in the world, and she was at the top of her game. In 2020, again, it was the same story, with Osaka forced to retire from the Cincinnati Open. If all of this sounds like a lot of injuries, that's because it is. Even for tennis players, that is an abnormal rate of injury. Osaka was injured much more frequently than the average women's tennis player, which was 23 injuries per 1,000 sets. So when she made an announcement recently that she would be withdrawing from the Italian Open due to injury, I can't say it was a surprise. This time, though, it was an ankle injury that she picked up at the Madrid Open. Speaking out about the withdrawal, though, she said that it was important for her to rest because it was an Achilles injury, and Roland Garros was not far away. But fans who were hoping to see the 4-time Grand Slam champion in Rome were left disappointed. Next, we have a fall from the top. Osaka is currently ranked 36 in the world. Now, that's not a bad rating, but it's a far cry away from when she reached number 1 in the world in 2019. That was after an incredible finals match at the Australian Open that won her the title. But her glory didn't last too long. After the Australian Open, she struggled to achieve any more results. By July, when she was knocked out for the first round of Wimbledon, she lost her number 1 ranking to Australian Ashley Barty. After briefly regaining the top spot, she was hovering around the top 5. And since then, she slid down the rankings to as low as 85 earlier this year. Osaka has been slowly fighting her way back up the ladder, but she's still got a long way to go. And after pulling out of the Italian Open in Rome, she needs to find some decent results, and super fast. For now, her focus is on Roland Garros, which would be a massive achievement for her, but she doesn't have much success in the tournament. In 2016, in 2018, and also 19, she managed to reach the 3rd round. Last year, she only reached the 2nd round after she withdrew from the tournament. The problem was that she wasn't willing to attend media duties. She announced this before the tournament even started, but once she didn't attend her first press conference, she was fined $15,000. So yeah, that's when she decided to back out of the tournament after organizers were threatening her with more fines and a possible suspension. Sounds fun. She said that she didn't want to take the attention away from the players and that she needed to pull out for her mental health. And now, battling through. Osaka recently opened up about her mental health struggles. She said that while she did get some negative backlash after pulling out of the French Open, she also received a lot of praise for advocating mental health problems, particularly anxiety and depression. She said that putting herself through the press conferences after each game would have just been too much for her. She's seen many players breaking down in these interviews and sees them as kicking a person while they're down. The Japanese star at the time said that she had suffered from depression going back to 2018, and she just hadn't been able to cope with it very well. With the help of a therapist, though, Osaka's finding the balance between her personal and professional life. The priority now is her happiness and her mental well-being, and many other tennis players came out in support of her statements about mental health. She's realized that there is way more to her life than tennis, and she started to enjoy other activities again. Young Japanese fans might be excited to learn that she loves to play video games and actually regularly plays Fortnite and Overwatch and Apex Legends and the Elder Scrolls. Now that could be a little extra bit of motivation for gamers. You really can do it all. Osaka is a Grand Slam champion who might be playing against you one day in your favorite video game, so watch out. What's the biggest obstacle standing in Osaka's way back to the top? And how is Osaka following Federer's footsteps into the business world? Don't go anywhere, because all that and more is coming right up. Up next, managing her career. If she hasn't been at the top of her game recently, maybe it's because she's had a couple of other things on her mind. She's making some big moves in her career. For any athlete, good management is key. Not only can that help with coaches, training, and professional performance, but they can also organize how to maximize your sponsorship and brand deals. Naomi Osaka had this kind of good management through IMG, which is one of the world's biggest management companies. This company manages names like Novak Djokovic and Serena Williams, but they also work with FIFA and the UFC and a lot of other sports. Most athletes leave their agencies for other companies, but Osaka and her agent Stuart Duguid decided to go in a different direction. Osaka is starting her own sports management agency. The company's going to be called Evolve, and Duguid said they couldn't reveal any of the clients that they had already signed. He also said the inspiration came from Osaka's mentors, Kobe Bryant and LeBron James, who've also started similar companies. She is the first female tennis player to make this jump, and it could be the start of a company that represents women's tennis pretty well. Back in 2013, Roger Federer started his own own company called Team 8. And maybe Osaka can get some tips from him because that's been pretty successful. They've managed to get players like Juan Martin Del Potro, Grigor Dimitrov, and Alexander Zverev. Plus, the company is the majority owner of the Laver Cup competition, which is named after one of Federer's idols, Rod Laver. It's no wonder that Federer is so excited about that tournament. I mean, he owns it. Finally, come and get it. If Osaka wants to reclaim the #1 spot, then there's some tough competition standing in the way. At the moment, it's young Polish Iga Swiatek. Swiatek bumped up to the position after former world #1 Ashley Barty shockingly retired in March of this year. The Polish powerhouse caught the tennis world's attention when she won a Grand Slam at the age of 19, becoming the youngest women's singles player in history to do so. Right now, she's won 28 matches in a row and is looking like a beast, just unstoppable. But if Osaka can get back to the top of her game, then she might have a contender. And after her mental health struggles, Osaka has said that she's in a much better place now. She said in an interview that her happiness is now her focus rather than results on the tennis court. She said that now she feels comfortable with who she is, and she's more at peace with herself. So far, though, this transformation hasn't translated into strong performances on the tennis court. But if Osaka can find the balance between motivation and comfort, then she could become one of the most dangerous players out there. And one of the greatest players of all time, Roger Federer, thinks that Osaka has taken a step in the right direction. For Federer, the stress is too much for these young players. He said that he feels lucky that in the first 10 years of his career, he really didn't have to deal with social media. And he thinks that the pressure from the press can just be, well, too pressing. If Federer is giving you praise, then you might just be doing something right. Do you think that Osaka's gonna bounce back from her recent injuries? Or is she already past her peak? Let us know in the comment section below, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.